That is Conservative orthodoxy. Conservative orthodoxy is sound financial management and a balanced budget. Not stick some pamphlets into a test tube, shake it up and see what happens.
William Wragg.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you very much for calling me so early in this debate. And if I may, to strike a conciliatory tone in the outset of my remarks, thank everybody in this House who sent me remarkable support in the course of the summer recess. There is nothing unique for me to have had issues with my mental health, but what perhaps is more unique than most in the country is having the platform and the opportunity to highlight that and to speak empathetically, and I'm very grateful indeed. And indeed, in making this speech, there are a number of things in my life which at the moment I'm struggling with. But bizarrely, Madam Deputy Speaker, it seems that making a speech in the House of Commons isn't one of them. So whether that's attuned to my state of mind, I'm not entirely sure, and no doubt my honourable friends on the government bench will tell me afterwards. But I want to speak on this important matter because I haven't said a word to my constituents about the events of the last month or so. And I watched on from home when the Chancellor gave his so-called mini-budget, which should have been delivered as a full budget with the proper procedures of this House duly followed. And as the time passed from that, I grew increasingly concerned by its nature. Now, I'm quite an old-fashioned person, and in respect of this House, I like to look at what the word of the motion is, and believing also in speaking one's mind. And I can only say that today is the centenary, the exact centenary, of a meeting in 1922, during which Conservative backbenchers met to decide that they would stand on their own ticket in the 1922 general election, thereby depriving David Lloyd George of that opportunity to continue as Prime Minister. And so, as Vice Chairman of the 1922 Committee, from which the events of that afternoon and evening led to the foundation of that committee, I think it's quite important to speak my mind. And I realise there are some in my party who lament that state of affairs, but I hope they'll indulge me as I have indulged them listening over time. But there are many things that have been said that are very true by the front bench. There's an international situation, there's an illegal invasion of Ukraine, there's a spike in the international cost of energy, and the government has many things to be proud of, the employment record, not least. But there's no escaping the fact that the measures contained within that financial statement caused directly the situation to be made worse. Now, that wasn't intentional, I'm quite sure. But the lack of foresight by senior members of the government, I cannot easily forgive. And my forgiveness is not something that the government should seek at all, but our constituents, who are in a difficult enough situation as it is. And so to see it as a question of international turbulence, inexplicably increasing the mortgage rates, inexplicably necessitating further cuts to public expenditure, I can't easily forgive that, Madam Deputy Speaker. I found increasingly, in the course of the summer particularly, the trashing of the reputations of independent organisations in this country, such as the Bank of England and the Office for Budget Responsibility, to be near Maoist in its nature. Orthodoxy, Treasury orthodoxy, came under attack. I am a Conservative, and I suppose orthodoxy goes hand in hand with that. That is Conservative orthodoxy. Conservative orthodoxy is sound financial management and a balanced budget. Not stick some pamphlets into a test tube, shake it up and see what happens. That is not the way the Conservative Party should ever govern. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, apparently I can be a little difficult to handle.
Never.
And my honourable friend for Workington must have wondered what he'd done in a previous life to find me in his flock as my whip. I always commiserate with my whip when they're appointed, and indeed a number of them I've been round the block with so that I get round to them all over again. But there's a serious point to all of this. What occurred with that financial statement, I am personally ashamed, because I cannot go and face my constituents, look them in the eye, and say that they should support our great party, and the polls would seem to bear that out. The next debate is apparently a confidence issue. Well, I'm not going to fall into that trap. I've opposed fracking. I thought we'd come to a considered position on it, but there we go. So I will vote with the government whip, because I'm not, if the honourable lady would allow me, she's kind, I will give way happily, of course, if she wishes to now. Will she? Of course, yes.
Will he be lending the Prime Minister his confidence vote in the next debate?
Well, she's very charitable in giving me a further minute for my peroration, which it seems a shame to extend it too long, but she's very grateful now. But you should allow me. The fracking debate that follows has been made a confidence vote. Yeah. If I vote as I would wish, then I would lose the whip. I would no longer be Vice Chair of the 1922 Committee. I would no longer maintain a position as a Chair of one of the Select Committees of the House. And indeed, because of that, my letter lodged with my honourable friend, the member for Altrincham and Sale West, would fall. And I wish to maintain that letter with my honourable friend.
Oh. Point of order, Grant Davis.
Is it in order for a member to say that he's in support, he's against fracking, and yet he's going to vote in the opposite direction? Because there is a rule of this House that says if one speaks...
It's not a point of order. Not a point of order. Each member is accountable for their own decisions on voting, and I'm sure he would not want me interfering with that.